up yet, but we will be in a moment. Today we're in our final session with Vayikra, the first Torah portion in the book of Leviticus. There we go, we're up. And there's lots of kind of subjects in here, even though it's difficult to deal with this subject of sacrifices, for me at least, because we don't do sacrifices anymore. But I like to find kind of the parallels to what we do in our own lives. And the first thing that occurred to me has to do with what's going to happen on this Shabbat, because there's two kinds of memories that I think we have, and one of them is difficult to let go. When we have the sin offering and the guilt offering is for offerings where you feel like you've done something wrong. The sin offering is when you feel like you've done something wrong to someone, and you've sinned against them. And I think that those kinds of ideas, once they get into our head, are very difficult to get rid of. I find in my life, I've said stupid things, I've done stupid things, I've hurt people's feelings, I've hurt people, and they stay with me. Years later, I might be walking down the street and I think about something that I did and I just kind of go like this, even though the person who I was around may not even remember what happened, but I remember. I remember all of the times where I messed up. And we've talked about this many times on how the negative things that happen to us stay with us, usually longer and more powerfully than things that are positive and good that happen to us. Almost like we take for granted the things that are good. I almost poo-poo when really good things happen. Maybe it's a psychological flaw in me, but I try to kind of like put aside when great things happen. I enjoy them in the moment, and then I just kind of put them aside and move forward. But if something negative happens, it stays with me and stays inside of me. And so what I've been thinking about lately about these sacrifices is it was an action that people were able to do and then hopefully leave it behind. And then I think, hello Kathy, hello Valerie, hello Irene, welcome. I think there's a complete other side of it too, which is that this Saturday, this Shabbat, Friday night and Saturday, is Shabbat Zachor, which is the Shabbat before Purim. And the Shabbat before Purim always calls, Shabbat Zachor means the Shabbat of memory, Shabbat of remembering, the Shabbat of mentioning. And what do we mention? We mention the Amalekites. The Amalekites were these dastardly people who attacked the Israelites from the rear. Who's in the rear of 2 million people going through the desert, but infirmed people, children, old people who can't keep up with the group. So these Amalekites came in and destroyed all of those people coming in from the behind. And so we remember that so that that can never happen again. Now, how is that tied to Purim? Is that if you follow the descendants from the Amalekites, you get to Haman. And there is actually a tradition in Judaism to kind of think of all evil people as tied in some way to Haman and to the Amalekites. And so it's interesting. I remember when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, I was living in Israel at the time, and in the Jerusalem Post there was this whole thing about how Saddam Hussein, when you take his letters and you add them up and blah blah blah, is equal to the name Haman or something like this. And so they tried to kind of tie Saddam Hussein to the Amalekites, and so that's kind of a tradition that you tie that. So what happens on this Shabbat is we're told, don't forget this bad thing that happened. And I started thinking about, wow, there's two approaches, right? The first one is the things that I'm upset about that I have done. I want to leave those things behind. I need to do something, whether it's write it, whether it's ask for forgiveness from from the person that I've hurt, and even then, that pain that I feel inside may not go away. Hello, Chuck and Lisa. So you have this one side where it is what I've done, I need to leave behind, I need to do something to help me to forget it. And yet on the other side, if someone has done something horrible to me, this is what I'm getting from Shabbat Zachor, I need to do things to remember it. And I have an issue with this, in that there's many times where the same guilt accompanies things that you've done to others and that others have done to you. In other words, sometimes when I'm duped or someone has hurt me, I tend to feel guilty about the fact that I let them hurt me, or I feel guilty about the fact that I'm not forgetting that they did. And there's this tension that's in me between, holding a grudge or taking vengeance, but it's really more like holding a grudge against someone because they did something to me at one time in one particular incident. And part of my struggle is, why is it that I'm supposed to remember the bad things that other people did to me, but I'm supposed to let go of the things that I've done to others? And personally, I believe through this kind of lens of mindfulness that it's important to notice those times when we've hurt others. It's important to notice when others have hurt me, and the thought there when others hurt me is, why was I so hurt by that? What is that bringing up in me? As opposed to, that person's bad for hurting me. It can become an inner reflection of why I'm feeling the pain that I felt from that person inflicted upon me, or that I felt. And in both cases, there's this kind of feeling place, right? I feel like I shouldn't have done that. It could also be, I feel like I shouldn't have let that person do this to me. So that in both of those cases, there can be a sense of guilt. Some of those cases, there could be a sense of justification. Well, I did hurt that person, but I was justified in doing it. Or they hurt me and they were justified in doing it. But I think the healthy way, the healthy approach to moving forward from a mindfulness perspective is to notice it, take it in, but not allow it to run your life. Not allow it to be such a huge part of your memory that you're not able to live your life the way you need to live it, to do the things you need to do to survive, the things you need to do to live your life the way you need to live it. So I'm recognizing that there's a tension here between forgetting and remembering, between leaving it behind or holding on to it tight. And I would suggest that, yes, as a people, we want to remember that things have happened to us as a people. And as a person, as an individual, I guess it is important to remember times when I was hurt or times when really difficult things happened, but not in a way that I need to keep thinking about it and say, I'm a terrible person because I did that, or I'm a weak person because I allowed that to happen to me. But this is another chapter in my life, but it's not my whole life. It's that chapter. And I have a next chapter that I have to live through. And if I'm still thinking about the previous chapter, I've given that chapter a lot of power. I've given my memory a lot of power. I've given my guilt a lot of power. And as difficult as it is, it seems that the healthiest way for all of us to kind of live our lives is to recognize, deal with it inside of us, and then allow ourselves to go on with our lives. That being said, it's time to move to our quiet time. This is that time to rejuvenate, right? This is that time where those feelings of guilt, those feelings that you've done something wrong, those feelings that others have wronged you, that doesn't exist right now. We're actually allowing everything to be just as it is for now. We don't need to complain. We don't need to solve. We just need to be. And then after we're done, hopefully it'll take you to see even those things that you've done a little bit clearer, and could perhaps put them into perspective. And in the end, that you come out maybe with peace and serenity in your heart, so that you don't carry with you the burden of those difficult moments in your life. So here we go. Let's move to this time. Make yourself comfortable and strong at the same time. Sometimes it's nice to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, and you can feel how warm your body is. The air circulates through you and comes in cold and comes out warm. Speaking of cold, it's getting a little chilly in this room. I can't put the heat on when we're doing this. The heat is very loud. I know I'm a wimp. Okay, here we go. Just concentrate on our breath. How does it feel? Does your stomach fill up and then leave? Fill up with air and then the air leaves. just an invitation. I imagine that our minds have taken us away from our breath a little bit. So just with love and kindness, bring yourself back to your breath. as we've come to our last 4 minutes or so, here's where we ask for certain feelings to come over us to prepare for Shabbat. Shabbat Zachor. So we ask for a feeling of joy, to feel whole. May I feel joy. May I feel whole. You know, a lot of times people ask me why I say feel as opposed to may I be. May I be joyful. May I be whole. And I think the answer is we may be all of these things. We may be joyful. We may feel as if we are whole. I shouldn't say it that way. We may think we're whole, but if we don't feel it, if we don't feel the joy, if we don't feel like we are a whole human being, it's impossible to get there. So I like to begin these with feelings that can take us out of the meditation with a certain feeling state, whether it be joyful or wholeness, that we do feel it inside and that can lead us to whatever we need to do. With that in mind, we say and ask, may I feel whole. May I feel joy. So important right now to feel joy. So important in our lives to feel that we are a whole human being and not just small little parts that we can pick at. May I feel whole. May I feel joy. May I feel whole. May I feel whole. May I feel joy. May I feel joy. May I feel whole. And let's continue. You can say it out loud to yourself in a whisper. May I feel joy. May I feel whole. May I feel whole. May I feel joy. If you'd like to offer this to someone, just put them in front of you in your mind's eye. Look them straight in their eyes. Say to them, may you feel joy. May you feel whole. May you feel joy. And may you feel whole. May you feel joy. And may you feel whole. And now let's just bring ourselves back to our breath for just a moment. Feel your breath in your body. Feel how your body receives it and then lets it go. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you were able to find some peace, some stillness. May you feel joy, and may you feel whole, and may you have a beautiful night, a wonderful Shabbat, and a fantastic weekend. I won't see you next Tuesday. I'm going to be participating in an interfaith service for Ukraine. And you can join us there. We'll send those things out, but we won't have meditation on Tuesday.